Suzuki had a goal and 2 assists. Cole Caulfield had a goal, 2 assists for Tyler Toffoli. And they're up against the misfit line of Carlson, Riley, and Marchessault still trying to get untracked in this series. Game 6 underway, and it's Toffoli with the puck just outside the line, and he'll flip it into the Vegas zone. One lineup change for the Golden Knights. Nick Hague is in on defense in place of the veteran Nick Holden tonight. Onto the right wing it goes for Marchessault. He'll duck inside the line, and that shot attempt is deflected up into the stands. Coach Richardson gets last change, and he'll get Danault out against the Chandler-Stevenson line as the puck comes out to center, and Artturi Lehkonen dashing into the zone, testing Leonard for the first time tonight. This line for the Canadiens without a goal so far in the series. Gallagher, Danault, and Lehkonen. And it's Gallagher on the forecheck. It's played around off Stevenson. There is Pietrangelo off the stick of Lehkonen out to center. Danault trying to bring it back in. He was tied up by Stone, and now Pietrangelo will flip it in to start to Vegas change. Stevenson lost his stick, and there's Big Ben Sherratt losing it to Tuck. Nick Hague with the first shot on Carey Price, so the former Mississauga Steelhead is into the game quickly. A native of Kitchener, who was in the Minnesota series, but is in the lineup for the first time in 7 games, but played in 52 games during the regular season, so was more the regular than Holden during the regular season. A backhand by Nick Waugh. Carey Price stops that. Waugh, the 5 of 11 goals coming off offensive zone face-off wins. Kotkaniemi able to play that behind the net, but now Alex Tuck is on it, trying to center it. That puck popped up in the air. Price wasn't sure where it was. Anderson found it, a point shot right on. And his third line that's been the most effective for the Vegas Golden Knights, with an early opportunity down the ice, and Paul Byron beats up the icing and forces Leonard to send it around. Here's Anderson sending it on net, and we've got an issue back behind the play in John Merrill.
And a high stick penalty away from the play. It's going to be Waugh who goes out.
Go to the room for concussion protocol, but the Canadiens go to the power play first time tonight, and it's bumped by Perry into the slot looking for Suzuki. Caulfield sends it back onto the right side. Toffoli in low for Perry. Missed the puck. Pietrangelo's clearing went off Suzuki and nearly banked into the net. And the Canadiens hold the zone. Now it's Martinez, and he'll find a seam and send it 200 feet.
You know, so often a power play early, you're a little bit sleepy, you haven't carried the puck much, your offensive skills aren't in sync, but you can just sense the anticipation and the intensity of this power play, the importance of it getting the first goal.
Canadiens 1 for 2 in game number 5. It's played back for Perry, and now Suzuki. Here's Suzuki up top to Foley and Gustafsson. Caulfield into the slot. Now chases it back down. His momentum will bring him back out to center to get reorganized with a minute gone in the power play. Suzuki fires it in around the boards and past Anderson and out to center. Weber to Gustafsson, and the Canadiens making changes as the second unit comes on. Gallagher onto the ice. Jeff Petrie has checked in, and he'll take that drop from Weber, who heads up ice. Jesperi Kotkaniemi had the icebreaker 2 nights ago. He's got it, sends it across out of the reach of Anderson, who plays it back around to the near side. And now Petrie to Kotkaniemi. Tried to give it back. It deflects to Weber. His shot loose in front of the net. Gallagher battling for it, but Alex Tuck's on it. Can't clear. Over to Petrie it goes. Watched there by Nosek as Jeff Petrie sends it across, and that shot hit Anderson in front as Kotkaniemi let it go, and the penalty's done as Nick Waugh gets set to return.
Pretty aggressive penalty killer, and that puck went back to Petrie, and immediately both the top penalty killers worked hard to take away the one-time chance for Shea Weber, who was on the left side. Would have had a good one-time.
Neither team scored a first period goal in the first 2 games of the series here in Montreal, games 3 and 4. Joel Armia sends it around out of the reach of Stahl. Lehkonen out there on this group with Perry having been on the power play. Stahl works the boards. And now it's kept alive by Armia. Eric Stahl back to the line, and Edmondson sends it in behind the net. Lehkonen unable to come up with that. And out to center, there's Big Ben Sherratt. Under 25 minutes for Sherratt in game number 5. That's the first time in a dozen games that he's been under 25 minutes. John Merrill back on the ice for the Canadiens. There's a turnover in the zone, but a quick stick there by Danault to get it back. Weber ahead. Over the line was Byron. He is checked, and now Max Pacioretty will chase it back into the Montreal zone. Pacioretty, the lone goal scorer in game 5 for the Golden Knights. Here's Martinez with a shot, and that's blocked by Gallagher, and ricochets back into the Vegas zone.
Well, something that the Canadians have really frustrated at times. The Golden Knights is getting in the shooting lane, and there's a great job of Gallagher putting his body in harm's way to make sure nothing gets through.
Here comes Shea Theodore, sends it across, and Janmark with the shot through a screen, and Canadians have won the first 6 faceoffs of the night. Coming into this game, the faceoffs dead even at 145 wins apiece through the first 5 games of this series. Shea Theodore puts it out to center, and Edmondson will dump it right back into the Golden Knights zone. Nicholas Roy through center. The Amos Quebec native, who said he lived the dream of scoring a big goal at the Bell Center, that overtime marker in game number 4. That goes off the skate to Byron, the length of the ice. Nosek pulls it back. Nick Hague with the shot, and it goes wide off the side of the net, and Nosek moves the puck to Keegan Kolesar, trying to cycle it back. Petrie was there. Kolesar along the boards, checked by Armia. Armia lost it. Kolesar ran into the official, and from behind the goal line, Nosek taking that shot off Carey Price. Kolesar dumped it back in. Montreal with a quick clear to the Vegas line. Knocked down by Armia, rinked wide, and
Eric Furlack can't get out of the way. Kolesar, though, kicks it down, and boy, that had a chance, didn't it, off the stick? Look at the reaction of Price. Didn't want to overreact, but it went off his stick, then off his blocker from a tough angle. Ended up being a half-decent scoring chance from behind the net.
Are we seeing more of the players trying those shots?
I think you've seen so many instances where maybe the goaltender not quite on the post, or a bad break, or a deflection in front. I think in an elimination game, too, you've got to be of the mindset of everything's got to go to the net.
Reid McNabb flips it high, lumped down by Sherratt, and now Marchessault's on it. Sherratt looking a little like his basketball-playing sister there with a shot block, and now away goes Suzuki through center along with Caulfield, who has scored in games 1, 3, and 5. It's Weber in deep, trying to center it. It's knocked away there by Theodore as it bounced past Suzuki and didn't get to Caulfield, who was loose in front. Gil Danault wins an offensive zone face-off, but the Gallagher pass splits the Blue Liners, and they'll reorganize back in their own zone. Joel Edmondson gets it set, and now starts Gallagher away. Brendan Gallagher one-hands it to Lehkonen. Now Artturi Lehkonen inside the line. Gallagher sweeps it around to the near side. Pacioretty can't clear it, and Edmondson fires it off target, and it boomerangs back into the Montreal zone. Just past 8 minutes of this first period in game 6. Shots are 5-2 Vegas. Danault intercepts the pass. Anderson unable to get loose. Checking tight in the center ice area to start this game as Martinez plays it down. Petrie gives it back to his defensive partner Edmondson, one of the 4 Clydesdales, as Luke Richardson described them earlier today. Byron on the forecheck, and there's Kotkaniemi to the far side. Anderson in pursuit of the puck, and Merrill steps up as well. Played to the line and out, and it's a 2-on-1 the other way. Here's a chance for Janmark. Wall in front, and Price slides out of the net. In behind the net as Nick Roy comes up with it again.
Then Sherratt took him out. Good job of Sherratt taking away any passing option, and then once it got close to the net, slid down. Typically, you try to slide by the goaltender. He caught the pad of Price and took him with him.
Tuck to the line, and Alex Tuck up against Weber. Gustafsson out there now, bumped by Nosek. Stahl trying to get away. Eric Stahl, next point will be his 60th in Stanley Cup playoff competition. After a goal in Game 5, Armia at center. Can't get by Martinez, a lead feed that Nosek couldn't find, and it's icing Vegas.
Well, what hasn't happened very often is just a bad read at the line. Here's an aggressive play with the defenseman pinching. So the D-man's pinched, now you're the defenseman. Anderson takes a chance at the line, that creates a 2-on-1. But when you've got a goaltender like Price, the job for Sherratt is make sure there's no pass across, leave the shooter to the goaltender. And as I said, that slide got a little too close to the right leg of Price and took him with him.
Face-off win by Nosek. Alec Martinez hip off the skate of Caulfield into the Montreal zone. And Cole Caulfield will send it across to Toffoli. Tyler Toffoli, good pass. Suzuki's got Caulfield joining the rush, and he fires it right on. And glove stop, and Leonard actually got 2 touches on that as it popped up into the air near that far post. Petrangelo's going to venture deep into Montreal territory against Weber. Petrangelo pass intercepted by Caulfield, and Suzuki makes sure it gets out to center. Riley Smith ahead for Marchessault. Now Theodore, red line, and now gets it in. Price out of the net, and Vegas starts a change, so plenty of time for Petrie. Gallagher with speed into the zone, and Danault takes the shot. Gallagher going to the net. He is clutch. And 3 goals in this series against the Canadiens. John Merrill and Price trying to get their signals straight, and Merrill got tied up by Janmark. Flipped ahead, and Anderson's got speed. Here comes Josh Anderson, busting in, and unable to get the shot away as Zach Whitecloud blew a tire with that bull rush from Anderson. Kotkaniemi for Paul Byron, another guy who can fly and dashes in. Drops Kotkaniemi, and the shot blocked by Hague, got a stick on that. This third line for the Canadiens starting to gain momentum. 5 goals in the series.
Chris, Josh Anderson's influence on this series. He scored the big 2 goals in Game 3, but it's been his legs and his speed, and you saw an example of it there. It can create something. That was a tough play for Whitecloud to deal with him coming full steam ahead from the neutral zone.
Knocked away from Pacioretty by Weber, following up. Here comes Pietrangelo, and he is checked, the turnover, and back the other way. A counter by Gallagher with Danault. And Lehkonen trying to catch up on the play, but so does Pietrangelo, and he'll move it to Martinez ahead for the former Canadiens captain, who hears it again tonight from his old fans. And now a breakaway pass. Corey Perry couldn't tame a bouncing puck. He was home free if he could have knocked that down. And nobody was going to catch him.
And for Corey, that's not always the case, but what another great defensive play by Philippe Danault that made that possible.
Eric Stahl wheels into the zone along with Armia. Edmondson backs up, a penalty coming up as Price has gone to the bench for an extra attacker. Nosek gets a stick on it, and Montreal 2 for 9 in the series with a man advantage. They win the draw. Suzuki will kick it back to Gustafsson and across. Caulfield fires it to miss short side, knocked down by Suzuki. William Karlsson, Riley Smith, the penalty killers to start for the Golden Knights. Tyler Toffoli, Suzuki walks in, his shot rejected by McNabb. Suzuki hit along the boards, but Perry able to work it loose for Gustafsson and back. Now Suzuki challenged by Smith for Toffoli. Off his skate, Caulfield can't reach it, and Karlsson sends it down. That might have been a 3-on-1 the other way for Vegas.
Riley Smith was going to join the rush. He'll have a little talk on the bench, but in fairness to Karlsson, he was focused on winning the battle and getting it out and getting a change.
Canadiens' second unit is on. Gallagher tied up at center by Mark Stone. Canadiens' power play goal coming off a Stone turnover in Game 5 when he was thinking offense himself on a penalty kill. At the line, Kotkaniemi missed the pass, and Stone works it back out. And chops it the rest of the way. 45 seconds remaining in the power play. Jeff Petrie to center. He'll send it in. Martinez able to stop that up and then gives it away. Weber will fire, scores! The captain has the icebreaker in Game 6.
Just when it looked like Vegas was going to clear the zone, a dump in that Kotkaniemi can't get to. You're free and clear. Instead, a turnover. Martinez takes a quick look, goes up the short side and doesn't get all of it. A quick read, a good screen by Kotkaniemi. And Shea Weber has done so much in terms of leadership for this team. The one thing he hasn't been able to do lately is score. That's his first in 18, but none bigger. The game's first goal, Pietrangelo with a frustration in the box. And the red suit gets off to a good start for Marc Bergevin. The game's first goal, as so often Montreal has been able to produce.
Canadiens 10-2 when scoring first. It's the first of the playoffs, as you mentioned, for Shea Weber, his first in 21 postseason games. And so the Golden Knights have to chase the game once again. Pete DeBoer mentioning earlier today that they got out of their game by chasing and taking chances. And there's a reaction from Janmark and a slash on Sherratt as they gathered after Carey Price held on. Kotkaniemi with a smile. Goal unassisted, but Jesperi Kotkaniemi gets a moral assist.
Well, he blows a tire here, but watch the read. Once he sees the turnover, he takes the eyes away of Robin Lehner. Just perfect timing. Frustration again. That's 3 power play goals for the Montreal Canadiens in this series. 3 for 10 and none bigger than that one to start Game 6.
On the draw, Toffoli nearly got away. He had Stahl loose on a possible 2-on-1. Back in comes Vegas. William Karlsson tied up along the boards. Riley Smith will dig it out, get it back to Theodore, whose shot scores! Deflected in, and Riley Smith was on the doorstep on that shot from Shea Theodore, and a quick response for the Golden Knights.
And one thing Vegas has not been able to do with consistency is win the battle and then get to the front of the net. You know, they've talked in the off day so often, you got to go through 3 or 4 guys. Here's the battle down low. Riley Smith starts it, gets it back to the point, and Theodore, how about the heads-up play there? Here, Smith made the play, got underneath on Edmondson, and then stick on the ice, shoot away from Carey Price. Price has anything coming at him. Smith able to come down, and then a heck of a collision afterwards as the puck goes in. A huge response there by Vegas to tie this game.
An answer 48 seconds after the Weber goal, and Riley Smith has his third of the playoffs, his first in 10 games. So there's another of the key scorers for Vegas who have been held off the score sheet in this series, getting finally rewarded.
You look at how you can score against a goalie who's maybe got inside your head. Don't shoot it at him. Shoot it off the side. And it was Edmondson who didn't realize that Smith was coming underneath him. You know, that's one where often you'd see Edmondson, if he gets his stick, he almost didn't want to touch it in fear of deflecting it towards Carey Price. Instead, behind him, Smith had his stick right where it needed to be.
That misfit line at 18 shot attempts in Game 5 without a result. But are on the board here. Now Gallagher trying to respond. Flipping it through for Deneau, and off the shaft of his stick, looked like, and Leonard has to be sharp. Here's Kyle.
Chris, you mentioned Vegas chasing the game in Game 5. Pete DeBoer said this morning of that one, we fell behind last game and then just kind of self-imploded after that. Finished with lesson learned. They fall behind early again here tonight, but a quick response has it tied.
Talked about poor decisions after falling behind. And the only trailed this game by 48 seconds.
When your head coach says our team laid an egg, it's never a good thing. And he's always pretty honest about the performance of his group.
Well, we saw what the Islanders did, responding after an 8-0 thrashing. And forcing a game 7. Haig was in deep, lining up the check. Stahl able to scoop it away. And here's Armia taking it away from Whitecloud. Yoel Armia deep in the zone. Nosek gets back. That's knocked down. And here's Edmondson moving up. Edmondson trying to get it to the net. Hit a stick and ends up on the netting. Byron on the draw. And Byron able to play it into the corner. Kotkaniemi battles for it there. Up the boards. At the line. Merrill, that changed direction and went over the net. And it didn't look like Leonard was tracking that puck. Now Theodore trying to send it away. Kept in at the line by Merrill. Kotkaniemi. Big shot goes off Theodore. Tuck up with it for the Golden Knights, and he'll stride out. Here's Janmark on his off wing, a centering pass, and that's it. Ends up on Byron's stick, and he headbands back for Anderson at the end of a shift, so he'll fire it down on Leonard, head off.
If it wasn't Anderson, though, typically Pietrangelo might step up on that one. You see the respect. He backed off because worried about the speed of number 17.
Just thought of that outdoor game when he was Mike facing Nathan MacKinnon, and MacKinnon got the puck, and you could hear him go, uh-oh, trouble. So Anderson gets a similar type of respect. Pietrangelo up the boards, and Carlson at center. There's Marchessault. Smith's on the move, and the pass broken up by Weber. Now a centering play, and Ben Sherratt is there, and he'll play it off the boards out of the reach of Lehkonen. Sent back in on Carey Price. Weber slows it down with the change ensuing, and 2.5 to go here in the opening period. Shots are 9-7 Vegas. Weber and Smith, the goal scorers. Tyler Toffoli at center. Turning back, Toffoli with 14 points in the playoffs, matching his career best total in his Stanley Cup winning season. Theodore on the back end of the line. Edmondson holds the zone. It hops over the stick of Suzuki. And now Mark Stone. Chandler Stevenson to work. Over the line with Pacioretty. His shot kicked away by Price. There's a shot blocked by Toffoli. And now Tyler Toffoli trying to get it out of there. Kept in by McNabb. Pacioretty after it along the boards. And off Suzuki and out to center. Chandler Stevenson missed 3 games. He played just over 19 minutes in his return to action 2 nights ago. Jeff Petrie, pass Perry, and saying that hit a stick, so no icing. And Leonard sends it around past Stahl and out. Ben Sherratt around the board. Stahl on the backhand, bounces that towards Leonard. Nosek prevails on that face-off in the Vegas defensive zone. A puck knocked down with a high stick, and the Canadians will elect to play it. 5-minute opening period. Up ahead it goes for Armia. Curls at the line and puts the play offside.
Which really is the most important one in the matchup game.
Back to the Montreal line, and Wass sends it into the Canadian zone. There's Tuck working Sherratt over as it's sent to center. Pietrangelo onto the right wing and flicked in by Janmark. There's Sherratt back in his own zone. And he is able to clear, and now Byron speeding after it against Pietrangelo. Byron shifting away from Pietrangelo. Into the corner it goes for Kotkaniemi. Able to absorb that check from Tuck. Gets it back on the cycle from Anderson. Here's just Barry Kotkaniemi to the line. Petrie shooting. Knocked down in front. And Janmark out at the end of the opening period. 1 done at the Bell Center. The scoring opened by Shea Weber, but Riley Smith responding I know you're interested in how Montreal has slowed down Vegas. You think that's a key for the Golden Knights to take this series back to Vegas if they can get some speed going.
It's been the problem in each zone. The Canadians have done such an effective job of checking. They always seem to have 3 to 4 bodies above the puck, and I think it's been an exercise in frustration for Vegas just how well the Montreal Canadiens have defended throughout this series.
Shot attempts in the opening 20 minutes were even at 17 apiece. And the score tied at 1 here as we start the second with William Karlsson sending it down into the Montreal zone. Price to play it around to the Vegas goal scorer Riley Smith for Marchessault with Karlsson in front, and he bunted that, and Price able to get a glove on it, and Caulfield scampering back. He goes to the attack on the backhand, and Shea Theodore stayed with him. Up high to Foley, and that shot hit McNabb and goes wide. Now McNabb advancing through center. Marchessault's pass cut off, and Ben Chiarot wheels back along with Gallagher. A shot, a hit, the block shot in the first period, and a puck to the short side there. Leonard hugs the post. Back to Weber. No shot from the captain. Chiarot looking for the bank, and then ends up behind the net. Kicked away by Karlsson, who's been out for a while now. On this long change second period, Riley Smith will get to the bench, but still Karlsson trapped now. He'll work it ahead to the line. That's an offside call, but Vegas will get the change that William Karlsson was looking for.
Well, William Karlsson trying to bat this one past Carey Price. A no-look pass by Marchessault goes off the stick of Petrie. And look at, you could see Carey Price tried with his stick to get to it before Karlsson, but then had the presence of mind, watch the stick. Karlsson beats him to it, so he goes with the glove and gets that up just enough. Not even a chance to actually catch it, but to bat it out and make sure it goes back the other way.
The Kotkaniemi line comes out, 4 goals in the last 3 games of this series. Out there against Pacioretty, Stone, and Stevenson. Alec Martinez sends it around. Stone goes after it. Stone without a goal in the playoffs against Montreal now in 11 consecutive games. A series with the Ottawa Senators included in that, so 4 assists is all he's been able to muster in 2 series to date. Trying to make a difference here down the stretch in this semifinal. Martinez right on through. Waugh pulls it back to the line. Haig on the backhand. Into the corner. Waugh takes Chiarot to the boards. Tuck in support. Now back for Whitecloud. His shot hit the traffic and ends up behind the net. Stall ahead for Armia. And now the Canadians are out. Corey Perry on the right side. Hit by Haig. And it's offside called. Canadians won the first 6 draws, but by the end of the period, the faceoff totals 11-10. Weber just took a high stick, and that went undetected. Weber flinched, looked back at the official, and no call. Kelly Sutherland, Eric Furlat back in charge tonight. William Carrier on the forecheck. Nosek comes up with the puck, tried to center it. That went off Perry. And now past Stahl and bouncing down into the Vegas zone right on Robin Leonard. Zach Whitecloud with the stretch pass, and here's Karlsson to the attack. Tracked by Weber. Riley Smith right on, looking for his own rebound. Popped over his stick, and now a penalty is coming up against the Canadians.
That creates the power play chance here for Vegas.
The Golden Knights on the power play, but Arturi Lehkonen dashing in short-handed a shot. Rebound, and back-to-back stops for Leonard on Lehkonen's attack. A man down. The Canadians, of course, with 4 short-handed goals in these playoffs. The Golden Knights 0 for their last 15. Karlsson knocked down. It'll come back to Pietrangelo. And across from Marchessault. Rink wide, shot right on, off the glove of Price. Chiarot in the corner, tied up by Karlsson. Comes free for Stone. Pietrangelo for Marchessault. The Cap Rouge native backs off, gives it to Pietrangelo. Gets it back at the top of the circle, shooting. Blocked by Weber. Pietrangelo, he'll fire it, and Price got a piece of that. Marchessault scoops that into the slot. for Carlson and back to Pietrangelo. One-time blast and a pad stop by Price on Pacioretty, and the Canadians get it clear.
And just no confidence at all for this power play. Slow puck movement, easy to telegraph. You can see, though, the penalty killer's just so in sync at taking away the shooting lanes, forcing guys to hesitate to get the shot off.
Back in they come. It's off the skate of Stevenson. They'll have to re-rack at center, and Shea Theodore brings them back in. Alec Martinez across. Here's Stevenson shooting, and that goes high, and it bounces past Theodore and back into the Vegas zone. Vegas under 10% on the power play in these playoffs. And the Canadians over 90% on the kill, best in the Stanley Cup tournament. And just 5 seconds away from their 29th consecutive kill. Theodore is in. Toffoli back on the ice. Theodore up with the puck, tracked there by Suzuki. Riley Smith lets it go for Tuch. Alex Tuch to the line. Martinez gets it across, and that shot blocked it. Here's a 3-on-1. Back the other way, Suzuki. Along with Lehkonen, and Suzuki fired it right on. Rebound to Foley. Got a shot on, and Robin Leonard made the save, was sprawling, and now a too many men penalty against Vegas.
That's a late call, but it's because they scrambled to get back on the odd man rush.
Now the power play goal tonight, their third advantage of the evening, and Caulfield knocks it down at the line, makes a move on Janmark, but now a pass hits a skate and comes out to center.
And Chris, for Montreal, this is one you got to take advantage of there. You created a little panic on the bench. That's a penalty that teams never like taking. Too many men, you got to make them pay.
Nick Suzuki shoots it in, Caulfield retrieves, and Leonard stops that. A 24-goal season. And you might argue the offense harder to generate at this time of year, so potentially even better than that. Weber down low, around to the near side for Kotkaniemi. Gets it back from Petrie. Anderson to Petrie and across. Riley Smith disrupts that. Weber trying to play it deep, and Carlson will turn them away.
You could see Vegas trying to be a little bit more aggressive, not allow the setup to have any time, keep the bodies moving.
There's Kotkaniemi over the line, past Stone. Gallagher charging after it, trying to take it away from McNabb, and does. Now plays it to the near side. Petrie trying to seal that wall. It comes loose, and Mark Stone's on it. And he'll carry it through center. On his own, trying to slip through the defense, and unable to do so. So a half minute remaining as Petrie will turn back, and they'll make another change and get that first power play unit out for one more shift with the man advantage, and Caulfield's got it at center. Got by Tuch, but lost possession, and Pietrangelo will fire it down on Price. Eric Gustafson ahead, Caulfield's in. Can't get by Martinez. Perry couldn't take it away, and it's swung back down, so a good kill by the Golden Knights.
Lots of pressure on the entry there, and twice the pass was to Caulfield on both sides, and with so much traffic, unable to get the setup that they were looking for.
Now Pacioretty, he's got Marchessault on the move. His shot doesn't get to the net. Lucy in front, and Price. Rebound comes up top. Pacioretty shot off the shin guards of a defender. He'll hold it in at the line. He and Danault collide, and Danault got the worst of that. There's Luke Richardson, who talked about his big four today. Luke was a big, imposing defenseman, and now behind the bench enjoys the fact that, well, he called them the Clydesdales, and they have been a huge story in these playoffs.
And the ability to platoon in Merrill and Gustafson and never play them together, always play them with one of those four, has really worked incredibly well for the Montreal Canadiens.
Gallagher's in along with Danault. There's Danault taken to the boards by Martinez. Alex Pietrangelo looks up ice, and here comes Chandler Stevenson. The former Regina pad over the line. Pacioretty right on and into the glove of Price.
you can see the challenge of trying to find open lanes. You've always got bodies above the puck. Pacioretty coming from the outside to the middle, but that's one for Carey Price. An easy save, nobody in front, no worry for a rebound there. You know, this is another non-event game, Chris. We've had a lot of them through the series, and Montreal starts to frustrate you like that. A game like this where not a lot of chances are happening plays in the favor of the way the Canadians have been playing the game.
Pacioretty's fourth shot of the night, of the 17 by the Golden Knights.
You just get a feel that the frustration is coming from one side, and it's more Vegas's frustration. Down in the series, trying to generate something. Montreal's quite comfortable in playing in this type of game.
Caulfield sending it off Leonard. Toffoli retrieves it. Around it goes. Edmondson moves up against William Karlsson. And Karlsson finds the puck and played it past the stick of Caulfield. It's an icing call against the Golden Knights.
They've been a great exercise in just how to play a great defensive, stifling game and find a way to continue to believe in each other and keep winning hockey games.
Now one win away from making it to the Stanley Cup final.
So consistent since Game 5 against the Maple Leafs. And they talked about playing the same game
Over and
over again. Comfortable with that. Trying to be just a little bit better each time. Lead pass for Caulfield, trying to get an edge on the net. Scores! Another beauty for goal! Caulfield! Play tight defense and have a game breaker who could shoot you into the lead.
Oh, what a play this is by Cole Caulfield, and the play happened in the neutral zone. Watch this little stick play by Caulfield. Chips it up and over the stick of McNabb, gets his feet going, knows he's going to get cut off going to the net. Watch this, right here. Chips it up and over. McNabb thinking, okay, I can go stick on stick, get the puck. Now you're not going to win this foot race. The ability to keep your feet moving, keep control of your hands, and the quick release we've seen from him since he got there, up and over the glove. What a marvelous goal from the young star.
He didn't go 5-hole on Robin Leonard there. But Cole Caulfield has put the Canadians back in front. Once again, Vegas trying to answer in a hurry here as they go back to the attack. Alex Tuch swooping around behind the Montreal net. Caulfield with his fourth of the playoffs and now 9 points as he has scored 4 times in this series. Tuch trying to get it back, and that pass beyond with Whitecloud racing after it is Byron. Here's Byron deep in the zone along with Anderson, and Tuch will start back. Alex Tuch through center, the Baldwinsville, New York native, plays it off the end boards, and now Anderson will try and turn it for the Canadians. He's stopped up at center by Haig, and
Well, Robin Leonard admitted he knew the pre-scout on Cole Caulfield after he stopped him on that breakaway in Game 4. Caulfield was asked about that before Game 5. He said, that's good that he's opening his mouth. You know what he's thinking now, so I can kind of go off that and create new things to do. To your point, Chris, he did not go 5-hole there, and during the commercial break, the crowd was giving it to number 90 as well.
yes, the Leonard chats started here. First 6 games of the playoffs for Caulfield, he had 9 shots on goal. In his last 8.5 games, he's had 29, getting more comfortable by the game in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
That's where experience just grows with every series and every experience that you have to go through.
Nosek shot through traffic, and that was turned aside by Price. Under 9 to go here. And we got a penalty upcoming. Canadian point draw. Puck ends up 200 feet down the ice. Golden Knights 0 for 14 in the series. At the line, it's kicked in by Stone. There's Pacioretty leaving it for Pietrangelo. Jonathan Marchessault loose on this near side. Down low, Stone across. And fouled by Sherratt, and he'll get the clear.
Stone there, it almost looked like he was just trying to hit a leg, and it almost did. It rattled off of Sherratt, but he was able to gather it and clear it once again, force you to come 200 feet.
Carlson sidesteps Byron, brings them back in. Stone led them in points on the power play. The regular season was 17.
You want to see some frustration. You mentioned 0 for 14, another 50 seconds for that top unit and just nothing, not even able to get a settle.
Pietrangelo gets in, passes it to himself. Sent around, and Edmondson will send them back. 50 seconds left. Shea Theodore trying to change the momentum of this power play, and Alex Tuch with speed through center. There's Tuch charging in, finds Riley Smith. He'll turn it across for Martinez. Tuch behind the net. There's Chandler Stevenson on the near side. Deneau watching him. Flipped down by Tuch. Merrill works him over. Merrill able to glove it across for Edmondson, and a flip past Theodore and out. And Toffoli's going to force Theodore back in his own zone. Nearly knocked him off stride. And now Toffoli checks in at the Canadiens bench. Riley Smith back in, knocked off his stick by Byron, and that's going to do it. And the Canadiens have killed 30 consecutive short-handed situations and come up with a steal. Suzuki sent it wide of the net. Byron knocked off stride, and Janmark starts back. Fans were looking for a call there against the Golden Knights. Suzuki off the boards. Pietrangelo able to hold it in. Behind the net for Weber. He can't find it. It's centered, and that went off Suzuki, and back the other way. It's Gallagher chipping it from his own side of center. And McNabb in behind the Vegas net. Here comes Nick Roy. Pietrangelo over the line. Roy's in deep. Checked there by Weber. Gets it back again. Weber stays with him. And Roy to the line. Pietrangelo firing it wide. Side of the net. Points down to make that stop. Bob Janmark. And the puck goes out of play.
Well, what an incredible run of penalty killing this has been for this year's version of the Montreal Canadiens. To go that long, that many minutes shorthanded, that many games, and not give up anything, it's been incredible. And one of the things they've done well, even though they're down a man, they've won the battles. They outman their opponent so often. There's 3 Montreal Canadiens battling 2 Vegas Golden Knights, and just all over the ice in the defensive zone. That's what Montreal's been able to create, and that's how they've been able to break up plays and get it back down the other way.
30 straight Canadiens record from the faceoff. Price had to make a stop on another offensive zone faceoff chance for the Golden Knights. Riley Smith long range off target. 89 Canadiens. Killed 28 consecutive, 30 in a row in these playoffs for Montreal's penalty killers. There's Theodore on the backhand trying to get it to Carlson. He's got it back again. Across Martinez, slot, what a stop! Carey Price robbing Carlson, his best of the night. And another for the impressive highlight reel in this series for 31. Now the fans saluting that. Special stop by Price. Leonard at the other end. Hands it away, and Suzuki's on it. Caulfield looking for it. Broken up by McNabb. Suzuki trying to get it back to Caulfield, and McNabb is there. Off Pietrangelo, and now Stone with Stevenson and Pacioretty into the skeets of Max Pacioretty. And Shea Weber. Suzuki, and he'll flip it away. Now this one skittering down the ice, and it does have enough. Pete DeBoer acknowledged that first round Minnesota, a similar opponent to the Canadiens in structure, and then kind of apologized for the comparison, but said the difference is that Montreal's got Carey Price. Toffoli trying to get through. Haig ahead, it bounces back towards the young defenseman, and he'll play it in on the backhand. It went out of play, and a whistle with 4:03 to go. Carey Price putting together his Cirque du Soleil audition tape.
You know, it's a
thing in the course of a series, you know you're going to have to make a big save that changes momentum. You hope to try to get in the mind of the shooters, and I think some of these acrobatic side-to-side saves have definitely done that to the Vegas Golden Knights. We mentioned earlier, Chris, how many missed shots, high and wide. They've changed their shooting, and it starts to creep inside, but you have to try to make the perfect shot, and there's the reason why.
That one hit the corner. Under 4 to go in the period. The Caulfield goal, the difference right now. Theodore, his shot hit a ski. Glances off target. Theodore holds the zone momentarily, and now away goes Perry. Stahl trying to catch up on the play. Perry overskeets it, but Armia fires as he followed up. And Leonard had to be sharp on that. Edmondson looks up ice. Bank pass reaching Stahl at the line, but Armia precedes the play into the zone. Offside.
Chris, if you're Robin Lehner at the other end, we just showed all the saves during the series of Price. He just makes a big one to keep it a one-goal game. You know you don't have a mistake to make. And here's a tough shot that comes right back on the stick of Armia. And that was labeled for the top corner. Tuck can't control it. Quick release there by Armia, and there's the shoulder of Leonard sliding across to his right to make the save. I think Perry was more frustrated he lost the puck, but it ended up creating a scoring chance.
One of the other Price quotes from Pete DeBoer today, he said, if Price is significantly better than our goaltender, it will be tough to win here tonight. Here's Smith charging in, and Price has the answer again. The home side has the go-ahead goal from Cole Caulfield. Canadians 4-3 on home ice. They've been better on the road this Stanley Cup playoff, and the Golden Knights 4-4 on the road. Up ahead it goes. Marchessault's pass disrupted, turned over by Gallagher, who lays it back in. Arturi Lehkonen after it against Carlson. Following up there, it was Deneau, but played past him. Now Marchessault over the line on that right wing. A centering pass went past Theodore and Smith, who had moved up on the play, but Pietrangelo back in his own zone. Marchessault's line mates are changing. That pass off a skate, and Montreal's on it, turns it back in. Here's Josh Anderson attacking against Martinez. Stone gives it away. Picked off by Kotkaniemi. His shot right on. Anderson up with the rebound. Stone tied up, but Pietrangelo took the pass, and it's off the boards and out for Vegas.
Chris, I mentioned frustration for Vegas. That's why. Neutral zone turnover, back in the defensive zone. Cycle down low, lose the puck in the corner. Montreal just hasn't allowed Vegas to get their legs and get their feel for their game.
And the Selke finalist for twice in 3 years with a giveaway in that Vegas zone. Now Chandler Stevenson, dumped by Petrie, who reacted as if he was going to be penalized. He shrugged his shoulders, kind of lifted his arms.
He got that one, didn't he?
But was able to retrieve his stick and was happy to hear there was no whistle. Lehkonen sends it around. Deneau takes a shoulder check, and now on it against White Cloud along the boards. 80 seconds left in the period. It comes past Weber and forces the captain back inside his own line. Brendan Gallagher right on Leonard, who spits up a rebound there in the corner. Armia's after it, and now Gallagher turns away and heads to the bench to complete the change. Out comes Perry in the final minute. Flipped ahead at center as they try and connect with Tuck on that aerial play. Tuck sends it in, glove down, and Weber up ice. Armia onto the right side, pass Stahl. Perry's going to get after it against Leonard. Centers it, and Mark knocks it away from the front of the net. Now Pietrangelo's on the move. Half-minute left in the period. He looks for Theodore as both the Vegas defensemen are thinking offense here in the late stages of the second. Toffoli now ahead. Perry was lurking in behind the blue line, but that's an icing call against the Canadians.
Yeah, you know, Jeff Petrie was not sure that he was going to get this call. He went stick on puck and then right onto the feed, and he dropped his stick as quickly as he could. So goes and retrieves it there. Let's have a look. Did he get puck first? No, man, he went right into the skates. That should have and could have been a penalty, but gets the break.
Carlson and Stahl on the draw.
It's always bad when you're looking a little guilty there like Petrie was, but
Usually when you raise your hand, the referee's going to raise his. Carlson waved out, so it will be Marchessault against Stahl. Johnny Murray gets set to drop it in. The Canadians get control. Bounce it out to center. Pietrangelo send it back in. Petrie takes a look. That's deflected by Toffoli down off the end glass as the clock drains in the second. And getting ready to salute the home side. Through two, they have the lead in Game 6.
Back in Montreal for the third period on Tuesday, Shea Weber, it was 18 years ago, he was selected 49th overall by the Nashville Predators, which leads us to Advanced Analytics, which is powered by AWS, the official cloud infrastructure provider of the NHL. It took Weber 34 shots, but he was finally rewarded with his first of the playoffs in the first period. He is one of their Clydesdales on the back end. So too is Jeff Petrie. And you remember the hand injury that he suffered last round when he got his fingers caught in the camera hole. Well, we noticed the photographer holes now have sliders to cover up those areas whenever the play is in their area. It's a team game for the players, so too for our crew. There's Shaky, one of our camera operators, asking them, how long have you had this setup? Well, they went back to the original plugs for Game 4 versus Winnipeg. Had the sliders ever since. The Petrie rule in place, Chris.
And here we go, third period. As the Canadians try to lock it down and play the berth in the Stanley Cup final. And a quick shot from Anderson. Josh Anderson with 4 hits in the game and a shot here in the opening minute of the third period. By the way, the Canadians blue line has a goal and 2 assists tonight, 3 points matching their output for the first 5 games of the series. And a point by the Vegas blue line, so they now have 12 points in this Stanley Cup semifinal. Pietrangelo ahead, and William Karlsson unable to take that pass. Ben Chiarot back in his own zone. Canadians 7-1 when leading after 2, but the last win by the Golden Knights was a comeback effort. Here's Karlsson dropping it off. Pietrangelo shooting, knocked down, rebound, scores! Played past Price and in, and this game is tied. Alec Martinez was on the doorstep.
If you watch Kelly talk about Carey Price and how compact he was, he's been handling rebounds. Now you finally get a little bit of a cycle work. Leaves one man all alone, and the shooting lane not taken away. Price takes a whack at it. Martinez all the way down from the point, right on the doorstep. Thought he had it for a second, wins the puck battle before Carey Price can get to it, and Martinez on the doorstep puts that one home. The first part of that shift spent in their own zone, get down on the cycle, win some battles, move some bodies around, and a rebound goal has tied this game at 2.
Martinez with a goal in Game 1. And the game in Vegas, Game 5, the only game in which a Golden Knight defender has not scored in the series.
Well, they've really been the story, haven't they? But there's been so few times, Chris, that there's been a man open. The one thing Montreal defensively has done is had the shooting lane, had somebody covered. That time Pietrangelo was left alone, and down on the doorstep, the 2 defensemen have an impact to tie the game.
So 1:08 the time of the game. Equalizer. Stone can't barge through. White Cloud follows up. Band on that. And Canadians are out to no for Gallagher. Bank it off the boards and play it in behind the net. Leonard will send it around for Chandler Stevenson. Lehkonen ties him up and comes up with a puck for Gallagher. He'll get it to the net, and Lehkonen, and the Canadians control. Edmondson back towards Stahl, who's tied up there by the latest goal scorer, Martinez. William Carrier sends it in. Kolasar after it, rides Merrill to the inboards. And Picked up and centered for Pietrangelo. And Perry breaks out beyond the blue to make that stop. And the rebound cleared from the open side of the net. So that offensive blue line of Vegas making an impact here in the third period.
Again, collapsing back down, but Vegas able to cycle from below and get it out to the point. It was a great play defensively by Edmondson on the doorstep, though, to clear the rebound out of harm's way.
Now Nick Suzuki ahead for Weber. Back into the Golden Knights zone. Weber taken down on a low bridge by McNabb. Caulfield from the corner. Had it knocked off his stick. And it's sent by Theodore back into Montreal ice. Ben Sherratt for Weber. And you can feel a little more tension in the building after that goal by Alec Martinez. It's a steal in front of Suzuki and let her down. What a chance for Nick Suzuki. Alec Tuch, his pass hit Byron. Bounces back into the Golden Knights zone. A lead feed for Waugh. And now Tuch to the attack, shooting. And that will stick to Price. There's Pietrangelo, bumped by Edmondson. Riley Smith back out there. 6 shots in game 5. He's got 5 more here so far tonight, and a goal for the Golden Knights. That's Smith behind the net, checked by Petrie. Anderson unable to play the puck, and now gets it back. And Josh Anderson will start through center. Red line and in for the Canadians. Paul Byron going to get after it against Pietrangelo. Around it goes to Petrie. Anderson looking for a tip in front, and Pietrangelo plays it away, but it's called on a high stick. North line's back out, and from the draw, Corey Perry steals the puck. Stahl centering it, Armia to the net, and a paddle down stop by Leonard. Perry and Armia get the puck back for the Canadians. There's Armia, watched by Nosek, tied up by Whitecloud. It's Perry with a weak shot. Leonard steered that away. Weber trying to hold the zone, and now sent back inside the Canadians' blue line. Ben Sherratt winds it up, sends it back into Vegas ice. Alec Martinez playing it to Theodore. See if Vegas goes down to essentially 4 defensemen here in the third period as well. Chandler Stevenson, a little stutter step to gain the zone to Pacioretty. Around behind the net for Stone. Taken away by Petrie. Kept in at the line. Off Price on that shot from the point by Martinez. Deneau works it ahead for Lehkonen, who will turn back away from the pressure. Edmondson has trouble with it, but able to work past Stone. And a nice pass to Lehkonen. In comes Gallagher. Tried to get it across, and that pass rejected by Theodore. Suzuki turns back with the Canadians changing, and now Caulfield and Toffoli over the boards to join their centerman. Alec Pietrangelo up the boards off Suzuki, and Alec Tuch. An aerial for Nick Waugh, and knocked away from him by Sherratt. Around past Caulfield, and Pietrangelo's got to chase it back in his own zone. Janmark looking for Waugh. Caulfield back in his own zone. Shea Weber and Caulfield, the 2 Canadians goal scorers on the ice. A nice move by Byron. He'll dash in. Paul Byron swings wide. Can't get the shot to the net. Blocked by McNabb. And Tuch off the boards and out. Shea Weber plays it past Carlson. Byron unable to connect on that short pass to Kotkaniemi. To the right side, and Anderson chips it inside the line. Kotkaniemi after it against Whitecloud. Shea Theodore found to the left side for Riley Smith. Stopped at the line. Turned over, and it's Gallagher with Lehkonen. Deneau off the bench and into the fray, and he's bodied along the boards by Smith. Around for Marchessault, and Edmondson stepped up on him. Puck bouncing towards the Vegas net, and Whitecloud for Theodore. Giveaway, chance, and Deneau is stopped by Leonard. Another face-off win by Suzuki. The Caulfield shot blocked. Here's Suzuki trying to center, and Alex Martinez is there. Around for William Carrier. Carrier tied up by Suzuki, but puck played deep. Nosek centering pass. Blocked by Sherratt. And Montreal back out. Here's Toffoli looking for a Suzuki over the line. Caulfield was breaking on the other side, but Toffoli went to Suzuki. And it comes back out to center, and the Canadians will change. So past 7.5 minutes of the third period. Team tied now at 2 on that goal by Alec Martinez. Brayden McNabb steps inside the line, sends it around. Edmondson looking for it. Stone blocked the initial clearing attempt, but now Lekkonen's out at center. Along with Deneau, trying to charge through. Gallagher following up as Deneau's taken down. Gallagher trying to twist away from Stone, unable to do so. Puck at the line, and Stone is able to force it out. Arturi Lekkonen steps back in. Line mates changing. A shot onto the short side. Blocked there by Leonard. And played out off the glove of Edmondson.
You know, one mistake might be the costly one that ends this game in the series.
There's a point shot off Leonard with Perry trying to create a screen in front. Stahl. Knocked down was Armia, and the hand pass stops play. The fans thought for a moment that whistle was for a penalty. So Weber dispatches it down into Vegas ice. Armia battles for it. Perry with the centering pass intended for Stahl. It'll come back to the line for Sherratt. Sherratt plays the bank. It came out in front, and Perry took a whack at that. And now Sherratt backpedals at center. Corey Perry plays it to the captain, and that will trigger another change just past the 9-minute mark. Ben Sherratt's never scored a Stanley Cup playoff goal. A couple of shots from the point here in the third period. There's a puck stolen by Kotkaniemi near the front of the net. Jesperi Kotkaniemi cycles it back into the corner. Anderson shoulder to shoulder with Martinez, and Kotkaniemi ran into him and flipped away by Theodore. Petrie and Edmondson exchange passes and get it pointed north onto the left wing for Toffoli, who sends it deep. Leonard out of the net. He had trouble with that pass, and Suzuki looked to feed the point. Caulfield late to get into the zone off the change, nearly held it in for Montreal. Now up for Toffoli, can't get loose as Haig stepped up on him. Whitecloud flips it away. Chopped down the ice by Kolesar. After it against Weber. Sherratt up past Caulfield and back to the Vegas blue line. Petrangelo to Nosek. Here's Tomas Nosek. High slot, send it toward the net with Carrier on the doorstep. Kolesar's in behind the net. The Winnipeg product puts it back behind the Canadiens' goal, and Gallagher wraps it down the ice, and we'll have a face-off back in the Montreal zone.
Oh, these become so important, the face-off. You got a little bit of fatigue here as you get a half a minute to 50 seconds in, but Stevenson line stays out for the Vegas Golden Knights, and here Nick Suzuki, a huge draw and a difficult one at the end of the shift.
Suzuki 7-7 on the draw so far tonight. And wins a key face-off for the Montreal zone. Pass Petrangelo down the ice, and Theodore back to get it with Gallagher and slipstream. Alder Grove, BC native Theodore starts the breakout, and Pacioretty plays it in behind the net. Stone taps it back to him, and now it comes back in the direction of Stone. To the line, Petrangelo knocked it down and keeps it alive. Chandler Stevenson, watched by Lekkonen. Stevenson centered it, got past Pacioretty. Back to the line, that shot goes wide. And Deneau steers it off the boards ahead. Gallagher can't catch up to that. Mark Stone, Stevenson breaking inside the line. Carlson with an assist on the Martinez goal that's tied it here in the third. Pietrangelo sends it down into Montreal ice. Sherratt there for the Canadians. Kotkaniemi in support, hit the linesman, or the referee, excuse me, as he tried to clear, and Martinez moves up. Centering play off a skate, and Josh Anderson to the line and out, and now Kotkaniemi to the attack with Byron, trying to get it back to Kotkaniemi, and a good stick by Pietrangelo, and away goes Waugh. Nick Waugh with tuck breaking Pietrangelo, and the pass out of the reach of Janmark, and the Canadians turn this back. Vegas getting back defensively at the end of that Montreal shift.
Yeah, and Anderson did a great job reaching for that one. Never too late to come back to the middle of the ice, and he took away what might have been a great scoring chance.
Bounced in for Armia to chase after it, come up with it, try and tuck it in here. Perry after it as well, but Pietrangelo for Vegas will get it out. Pietrangelo with another point in an elimination game tonight. Perry to the attack, and a move on Martinez. Still has it, then knocked away by Riley Smith, who comes back defensively. And now to the attack for the Golden Knights. Takes Weber to the end boards. Perry around. Eric Stahl got Toffoli loose on the right side. Great move inside, and a backhand. Stopped by Leonard, and where is it? On this drop, and Nosek, who's been very dependable on the faceoff in the defensive zone for the Golden Knights, wins another. Carrier.
A big one at that as the time ticks away.
Long shoot in on Price. Fired around. White Cloud holds the zone. Colasar, Nosek, and Price with a big stop. Prevails on a defensive zone faceoff. It gets past Edmondson. Stone after it against Deneau. They lost that battle shoulder to shoulder with the Canadian center. Here comes Gallagher. He'll flip it in from the red line, and Lehkonen picks up the chase of the puck. Gallagher in deep as well, and Stone there defensively for the Golden Knights. Up ahead off the stick of Pacioretty. And played back down, and Leonard had that one glance off his stick. And
nightmares of that end. Yeah, exactly. Game 3 memories.
One that Marc-Andre Fleury's trying to forget. Up at center, knocked down by Waugh. Byron brings it in and then gives it back to Nick Waugh. Mentioned he's from that little town northeast of Rouyn-Noranda. Nick Waugh. Pierre LaRouche played minor hockey there. And of course, high scorer and former Montreal Canadian. In is Waugh here. A pass for Tuch that was broken up, and Tuch was loose on that right wing. Jeff Petrie out at center, and that is broken up by Janmark. Played back in. Both teams are going to start changes with under 5.5 minutes left. Petrie off the boards, out of the reach of Perry at center ice. Here's Riley Smith, who has been noticeable tonight, dumping it back into the Montreal zone. Off Armia, Theodore sets it up for Pietrangelo. Pete DeBoer's got his two best offensive defensemen out there together again, looking for a go-ahead goal. Carlson right on. And when you see that many fans outside, you wonder if there's another game at the Bell Center in the playoffs, if we could get that many inside.
You'd have to think so, wouldn't you? And the fans in here have just been a little bit anxious. It's been a well-played third period, though, and credit the Canadians. They gave up the tying goal, but they haven't sat back. And
control the defensive zone face-off, sent down the ice, and they'll have to do it again back in Montreal territory.
Well, immediately Pete DeBoer gets the Carlson line out there as that one bounced through the legs of Theodore but didn't hit anything. So you try to take advantage of any little miscue, and there's one long stretch pass that didn't work out for Montreal.
Carlson 10-5 tonight, 25-8 in the last 2 games, but he's going to get waived.
They jumped the gun there trying to get in quick on Suzuki.
So Marchessault against Suzuki. Riley Smith, a winner win for the Golden Knights. There's Wilson, and now Marchessault takes over. Suzuki will stay with him. Play to the line, Theodore across, Pietrangelo, and that's turned aside by Price. The sixth shot on goal for Pietrangelo to lead everybody in Game 6. And now Marchessault winds it up. Looking for his first goal, Carlson's in, and he missed the net. Good look there on the rush, and now back the other way. Caulfield's got a break. Caulfield stopped by Leonard. Following up Suzuki. Toffoli's got it in the corner. Another chance for Cole Caulfield. Chances at either end in the last 15 or 20 seconds.
Boy, you miss at one end, you better not be watching. That was a great transition. And Caulfield trying to continue his hot flow.
Here's Danault. His shot blocked. Danault gets it back again. Gallagher was open in the slot, but turning it back the other way. Pacioretty unable to connect there with Stone. Pacioretty gets it back and plays it to the Vegas line. Whitecloud to Martinez. Now over on this side, and here's the former Canadiens captain playing it on goal. And quickly bounce down the ice, and that's going to miss the net and be an icing call against the Canadiens.
Well, I mentioned end-to-end chances. Carlson, to me, looked past right away. When he got the puck, he had the stick of Edmondson, so that forced him to go up and over. Cole Caulfield using his speed, a cup pass to handle. Let's look at the stick of Theodore. Did he get in there? Caulfield forced to the outside, tried to slide one through on Leonard.
Danault 10-5 tonight on the face-off, and wins another. The 213 face-off wins in the playoffs, number 1 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Shea Theodore. Nick Roy, the hero in Game 4. Back in, Theodore shooting, hit a leg in front. Price was down, and Janmark unable to pull the trigger, and his pass all the way back into the Vegas zone.
Boy, Janmark had a wide open net, didn't he? As Price tried to find the rebound, couldn't track it, and it just bounced over, never even got a shot on goal.
Under 3 to play, Paul Byron. Anderson was knocked down and slow to get up. Overtime hero in Game 3. Double goals in Game 3 here at the Bell Center for Josh Anderson. Weber plays it to the Vegas line, and now flipped down by Stahl. Turned over, and Carlson back to the attack. Here's Carlson flipping the backhand on goal. Martinez moves up, plays it to the side of the cage. Armia battles for the puck, but Carlson works it loose. Marchessault across to Whitecloud, who missed the target. Armia broken stick, and he'll just let it slide out to center and hit off on a change. Just over 2 minutes to go as Carrier comes out. Vegas nearly got caught for too many men there. Slow change, and there were extra bodies out there. Most of the Montreal Partisans noticed that. To the line, Pietrangelo, Theodore, and he'll bounce it wide of the cage. Nosek on it. Fourth line for the Golden Knights. On the ice is Nosek. Is watched by Suzuki, nearly jammed it in there. A dangerous play by Tomas Nosek. Pietrangelo from the point, that changed direction. Canadiens backed up here, and it skipped over the stick of Caulfield. Now Toffoli on it. Caulfield hops over the boards and goes to the bench on a change, and here's Gallagher. 17 shots in this series, looking for his first goal. Knocked down along the end boards. Edmondson seals the boards, and it comes up and hits the mesh. Danault on the draw, but the face-off won by Nick Roy. Pass Pacioretty. Oh, Chandler Stevenson was in flight, nearly got loose, but Gallagher plays it back down, and we're into the final minute of the third period in Game 6 in next goal wins territory. Mark Stone ahead. It's knocked away from Stevenson. Shea Weber for Gallagher. Gallagher turns away from Stone and able to flip it down into the Vegas zone. That will start a change as Suzuki comes out along with Toffoli, and Paul Byron is out there now in the final minute on this line. And back the other way, it's Janmark, right on goal. Price turned that aside. Try to get it back to Janmark along the boards, and now Stevenson, pinned by Edmondson. Alex Tuch's up with it. At the line for Theodore. And now on the cycle, Janmark on the backhand. He flipped it wide through the blue paint. Big hit along the boards there by Byron. Suzuki going to try and kill the clock here. And for the third consecutive game in this series in Montreal, we will go to overtime. 4 of the last 5 games here at the Bell Center have gone to overtime. How's it end tonight? Josh Anderson with an overtime goal against Vegas. Nick Waugh, the overtime goal in Game 4, both starting here in sudden death.
Well, and you have to think, okay, can you play with the same kind of aggressiveness? Can you keep your energy up? Are you afraid to make mistakes? Well, here, just 8 seconds in, you get a needless icing and the opportunity for Pete DeBoer. He gets the Carlson line, which has been his best out on the ice.
Carlson so good on face-offs, and from this drop, Marchessault battling along the boards, comes to Smith out in front. Here's a chance, Pietrangelo just sent it wide. What a good look that was very early on. Now Riley Smith along the boards, watched there by Edmondson, who hits the ice, puck comes loose, and Josh Anderson's on it. Can't clear, kept in. Marchessault without a shot on goal so far tonight. Knocked down by Smith. Carlson's on it, spun out there, but gets it to Marchessault. Back to Pietrangelo, a block there as Anderson went sprawling, and now Byron takes it away from Pietrangelo and gets it out. Long change here, like the second period, and Canadians are stuck back in their own zone. Edmondson behind the net, works over Mark Stone. Chandler Stevenson there, and it's played along the boards. Edmondson lost his stick, but he's retrieved that, and now Kotkaniemi bouncing it down the ice and used the in-turn to just get it on goal.
Bad.
Well, they called icing. I'm not sure how they could do that because it clearly hit Robin Lehner.
Oh, look at the Alex Burrows going, take a look. This is like a curling rock. It's going to the left, going to the left. Yeah, it hit his pad. It didn't hit the post. This is a mistake.
And they've got to have that face-off at center.
Oh, here's the block there by Anderson. Pietrangelo, as he does so often, just sliding back for the one-timer. And boy, this is a big mistake here. If the Vegas Golden Knights can take advantage of it. You've got a minute 14 of a shift for a tired line that gets a little bit of help.
Well, what an opportunity. Clearly off Lehner, but the face-off, and Stevenson pulled it back, and Justice sort of served here as he pulled it right back down to the Vegas zone, and Montreal will get the change they needed. Here's Chandler Stevenson back in, and he flipped it through Pacioretty right on, and what a stop by Price. Pacioretty in alone, and Price out beyond the blue to make that save.
Chris, little details here. You get a bit of a fortuitous bounce down the ice, but Anderson makes sure that he doesn't allow a quick up here by Lehner. He wants to buy some time so that he can get the other 4 guys a change. They get the change, but still the chance comes off the stick of Pacioretty, but a great save sliding across by Carey Price and holding on.
So here 90 seconds in, Pietrangelo's had a chance. That hot shot, like it caught Price in the mask. A chance for Pacioretty, and now back the other way. It's Danault. Pass across, scores! Arturi Lehkonen, it's fifth Canadien, and Montreal is going to the Stanley Cup Final. The first goal for that line in the series ends the series. Arturi Lehkonen is the hero tonight.
And it was an absolute beauty, and as so often as the coaches meet by the benches, a save by Carey Price off an absolute rocket and transition back the other way. A slap shot from Martinez. We showed him before. A knuckler up high right off the shoulder that Price threw a crowd able to handle. And how about this pass by Danault? Gallagher through the middle, Danault on the other side, and Lehkonen, no hesitation, quick release, up and over Lehner as he tries to go, and no bigger goal than that for Lehkonen, sending the Montreal Canadiens to the Stanley Cup final. What a response. The red suit continues its hot streak. And Carey Price, as he's done, Pietrangelo with the hug of Price, does his job, makes a huge save, and then transition back the other way to send the Canadiens a hard-fought series and a hard-fought playoff. They've welcomed the underdog status, but they've believed all the way through. And here they are, 4 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup.
Another remarkable night for Price, who made 37 stops. Couple of tough ones in overtime.
You think about the youth and the experience throughout this lineup. It's been really the storyline all the way through, hasn't it? Marc Bergevin brought a group together. Toffoli, in addition, he's been a huge part. Perry, Stahl, the experience coming through, and then the goals by Caulfield, the goals by Kotkaniemi. Been pretty amazing to watch.
Well, right through the lineup, and maybe that is part of the story here tonight, that a guy like Artturi Lehkonen is a hero, because the Canadiens just get contributions up and down their lineup in a variety of ways, not just scoring.
Great moment there between two. And boy, the crowd's been waiting to sing this for a while, haven't they? Chris, for me, it's been the depth of this team. They play the same way. They check well. They frustrated each of their 3-round opponents. Got down 3-1 in round number 1 and believed in themselves and kept going. Surprise sweep against the Winnipeg Jets, and here a huge win on the road in Vegas in Game 5, and a huge moment there at the bench here in Game 6 to send themselves to the Stanley Cup final.
What a picture that was. Price, Bergevin, Luke Richardson, who had that nice moment with his former Binghamton Senator Robin Leonard. 28-year wait. And now they get a chance to play for the cup.
I wonder what Dominic Ducharme is doing in his room watching all this unfold. You know, Luke there, incredible moment for his Do It for Darren Foundation as well. And there's Clarence Campbell. Something you wouldn't have expected to see the Montreal Canadiens about to receive.
The storied franchise wins a trophy here that they've never won before.
I just can't say enough about that man, Carey Price, just how good he's been all through these playoffs.
Well, time for the Clarence Campbell Bowl presentation. Here's Michel Lacroix.
Mesdames, Messieurs, accueillons maintenant le commissaire adjoint de la Ligue nationale de hockey, Bill Daly, qui présentera le trophée Clarence Campbell aux finalistes de la Coupe Stanley. Ladies and gentlemen, NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly will now present the Clarence Campbell Bowl to the Stanley Cup finalists, les Canadiens de Montréal, the Montreal Canadiens. Pour accepter le trophée, to accept the trophy, le capitaine des Canadiens, Shea Weber, de même que Paul Byron et Brendan Gallagher.
Well, they'll pose for a picture. Always the discussion about whether you touch this trophy or wait for the big one.
You see Marc Bergevin getting all the players who aren't in the lineup and everyone coming. It's been a team effort all the way through, and everybody gets their moment.
Boy, that's
together.
telling. Look at Bergevin, and Mark, you should be in there too. This really has been and continues to be a magical ride.
Any team that gets this far is like a family. You got to love each other. You got to play for each other. You got to work and support each other. And this team that had so much adversity at times, they had a condensed schedule. They had time off. They had injuries. And right now they've got a lot of excitement for what comes next. The 4 hardest games you'll ever have to try to win. You mentioned it, Arturi Lehkonen. It's just an amazing transition from defense. What a save by Carey Price. And a quick transition, a 4-on-2 going back the other way. Danault draws one man over and just a quick release. Not an easy shot. Hard on your right side, but Lehkonen just puts it up and over, and look at the celebration, the emotion. Gallagher grabs the puck immediately. The agony of defeat and the excitement of winning. It's been not a lot of reactions from that end from Carey Price. Hands on the head, I guess. You've worked so hard to get here. The job is almost done.
1:39 of overtime. And that triggered celebrations on the ice, in the general manager's booth, and the red suit was dancing tonight.
How about that? 3 for 3 in elimination games. They win 2 of them in overtime in dramatic fashion, and it's hard not to be that excited with what comes next.
Most of the fans out there have no memory of 1993. They're making new memories. And Carey waving up to his family. And it's been the year of the wink here in Montreal. We've seen Carey Price with a few, and Marc Bergevin for one for his superstar goaltender. Waiting to hear from the hero, Arturi Lehkonen, but he wants to be part of that dressing room celebration for a moment or two.
Chris, you saw Phil Danault go in there, and so much of this playoff for him has been in a defensive role. Key draws, killing penalties, making plays at the other end, and kind of fitting that he comes up. That line, as you said, hasn't been able to put one in the back of the net, and they get the most important one. Danault with a beautiful pass back across, and Lehkonen with the game winner.
Well, let's join Cal Bukauskas with the hero of the night.
All right, Arturi, your first career playoff overtime goal sends you to the Stanley Cup final for the first time ever in your career. Just tell me what you're thinking and what this night means to you.
It's not gonna lie to you, it's a pretty good feeling. Phil and Gally made a hell of a plays through the neutral zone, and I don't know, it's just trying to go high and hit the net.
Well, I mean, you said it. This line that you were on has been loaded for all your great work defensively all series. But the question was the offense going to break through at some point? Were you confident one was going to come?
Oh yeah, we were confident. We just stuck to it, and we knew that at some point it's going to go in.
Brendan Gallagher made sure to grab the puck for you after it went in. What does his friendship mean to you?
I mean, we're so good friends. We drive every day to the rink, and I mean, it's hard to describe it. Pretty good friend of mine.
Yeah, last one for you, Arturi. I mean, it seemed like this city was ready to explode in anticipation. Now, of course, the celebration here tonight. Did you feel any of that leading in, and how did you stay focused?
Well, we try to keep it going one game at a time, and not think things too much far ahead. And I feel like we showed up today, and it's a big win for us. So now we got 4 more to go.
All right, we'll see you in the Cup final, Arturi. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The only Canadians forwards that did not have a point in the series all register a point on the overtime goal that sends them to the Stanley Cup final. And another emotional moment on the bench. What a night in Montreal. Fête Canadienne!